John Phillips, a talk radio host at KABC, political commentator Bakari Sellers, political contributor Lonnie Chen, former policy director for Mitt Romney, and GOP political commentator Paris Denard. Good evening, gentlemen. So what is your reaction to Christina's reporting? First, Bakari.
Well, I think that this builds into a larger narrative, and the larger narrative is Donald Trump is himself a fake news story. What we've seen is it's this cycle of fake news stories that pop up and drive the narrative. Donald Trump will flat out lie and say that he did something which we can actually have objectionable proof that he did not do. And it's categorically false. I mean, even Ben Sasse today was talking about protesters being paid when we know that that is another fake news story.
But what is real is that he's president-elect.
That is real. But I mean, it's sad because what he's developed is very dangerous to the American democracy, is that now we live in a fact-free environment. And the only person that can succeed in that fact-free environment is Donald Trump.
Paris?
Actually, the facts are Mr. Trump was outspoken in talking about how he was going to make America great again. He was outspoken and talking about how he wanted to bring jobs back.
But specifically when it comes to Ford?
When it comes to Ford, Mr. Trump was very factual in talking about he was not going to allow that to happen under his watch, meaning leave the American soil and go across the border to Mexico.
It was decided before he became president-elect?
So the point is, I think, is that he raised this issue. He raised the issue of jobs, raised the issue of jobs leaving the country. And now what the American people see is, well, Ford did not bring their plant over to Mexico. So it's a good thing for Mr. Trump.
But they weren't going to.
It doesn't matter.
They weren't going to.
But
no, it does matter.
What matters is Mr. Trump has been talking about doing this and raising the issues. It's not about the truth. It's about raising awareness. It's about raising awareness about Ford, about our immigration policy, and about jobs in the economy. So this is a win for President-elect Trump.
So you're saying the truth doesn't matter because he's taking a victory lap, Paris. Let's be honest, for something that he didn't do, and you're sitting here on national television, international television, and telling people the truth doesn't matter?
No, I didn't say that. What I'm telling the American people and their international audience is that what Mr. Trump did do was raise awareness about companies in the U.S. leaving our soil and going overseas, and saying he did not want that to happen.
That's not what he tweeted, though, Paris. I mean, listen, let's just be honest. Come on.
Right.
He won, so congratulations.
That's a fact.
Okay, so he did not say in his tweet, I brought awareness to this issue, and just so you know, Ford is not doing it, as they said before I became president. He is saying he is taking a victory lap for something that had nothing to do with him. That doesn't matter to you? The truth? It shouldn't matter to the American public, who he's representing now?
I think the truth does matter, and the truth in my eyes, and I think in a lot of Americans' eyes, is that Donald Trump was a champion and is a champion for American jobs. He's a champion for American companies.
All right.
And I think that proves it.
All right, let's let John get in. John, go ahead.
Yeah, the tone was set in this campaign that Donald Trump doesn't want to incentivize companies to move their operations to foreign lands. He wants more production in the United States. And really the first indicator that we saw after he was elected president that other people get that was when we heard from the Canadians and the Mexicans that they're willing to come to the bargaining table to rework NAFTA, to make sure that NAFTA works out better for all parties involved. So I think people get what Donald Trump wants from trade and production.
Okay. Lonnie?
Yeah, you know, Don, I think there's two issues here. One is, I do think as president-elect, you do have to hold yourself to a higher standard. You do have to look carefully at what it is you're saying. But the other point I'd make is that I think there are a lot of times when politicians and presidents even take credit for things that really they have very little to do with. You think about jobs numbers. Perfect example, right? We get these jobs numbers every month. And presidents consistently will say or laud good job numbers, or maybe they try to distance themselves from bad job numbers. But the reality is the president has very little to do with the monthly gyrations in unemployment numbers, but yet presidents consistently take credit for them. So I think this is just part of our political dialogue. I think this obviously was maybe a step too far, but I do think in general politicians have this habit of taking credit for things they really have nothing to do with.
Don, if I may just briefly, one of the things that's so troublesome about this whole dynamic of President-elect Donald Trump is that, you know, you have Paris say that it doesn't matter, and now we're saying that maybe it was a step too far. But what we've created over the past 18 months, and something we'll have to deal with over the next 4 years, is a culture of low expectation. The fact is, Donald Trump told a lie. He had to be corrected by the CEO of Ford. Ford was not leaving. They were not leaving the United States going to Mexico. In fact, what was happening is they had a contract with the union that said they could not leave, something that had nothing to do with Donald Trump at all, and they were never going to Mexico. Yeah. But now people pick up on this story. It's a fake news story that goes around, and it's below the office of the presidency. I mean, if he can't tell the truth in a tweet about about Ford, I mean, how are we going to believe him about anything else?
All right, up next we'll talk about